Most mobsters do their best to stay under the radar, but try as they may, sometimes their names are turned into headlines. This, however, was not the case with Thomas Anthony Two Gun Tommy DeSimone. He never made any real headlines and would have virtually been forgotten but for one thing. Tommy was an associate in the Lucchese crime family, a part of Paul Verrio's crew, and a friend to mobster turned government witness Henry Hill. His life in the mafia was portrayed in the Hollywood blockbuster film Goodfellas. In the movie, his name was changed to Tommy DeVito. Though the film took a few other liberties, it is, for the most part, an accurate portrayal. Another liberty taken by the casting director was portraying Tommy as the same age as Hill, when in actuality, he was 6 years younger than Henry Hill. Tommy was also tall and lean, towering at 6'2", whereas the actor Joe Pesci, who portrayed him in Goodfellas, is 5'4". So who was the real Two Gun Tommy DeSimone? Born May 24, 1950, Tommy was a descendant of Sicilian stock. He was no stranger to Cosa Nostra. His grandfather was the one-time Los Angeles mob boss Rosario DeSimone, and his uncle Frank took over the California-based mob kingdom in 1956 after the death of Jack Dragna. Jimmy the Gent Burke was a family friend of the DeSimones, and he took Tommy under his wing when he was just 15 years old. He introduced Tommy to Henry Hill and asked Hill to look out for the young man. But DeSimone wanted to make a name for himself. He became quickly known for having an explosive temper and a huge appetite for violence. On March 15, 1968, he committed what is believed to have been his first murder. While walking down a street with Hill, DeSimone spotted Howard Goldstein, a passing pedestrian, a random stranger unknown to either gangster. Hill recalls DeSimone turning to the unsuspecting man and saying, "Hey Henry, watch this." DeSimone then yelled to Goldstein, "Hey cocksucker," and he pulled out a .38 caliber pistol and shot and killed Goldstein on the spot. Hill, shocked by the antics, exclaimed, "That was cold-blooded, Tommy." DeSimone's only response, "Well, I'm a mean cat." Hill noted in the best-selling book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi that DeSimone would sometimes kill just because he wanted to try out a new firearm, and he wouldn't hesitate to use a complete stranger as target practice. Another shocking murder portrayed in the movie Goodfellas was that of Michael Spider Gianco. Gianco forgot to bring Tommy his drink and was shot in the foot when Tommy demanded that he dance as penance for the perceived slight. About a week later, in a full leg cast, Gianco, who was being harassed by DeSimone, rashly shouted, "Go f*** yourself, Tommy." Burke praised the young bartender for standing up for himself and taunted Tommy. In a cold, calculating move, DeSimone then pulled out his pistol and emptied it into the unsuspecting Gianco. According to Hill in the book Wise Guy, he and Burke were furious with DeSimone's lack of control. Burke yelled, "All right, you dumb f***. If you're going to be a big f***ing wise guy, you dig the hole," and he made Tommy bury Gianco's body by himself. Hill noted that after this event, he was truly convinced that DeSimone was a pure psychopath, one who killed just for the thrill it gave him. DeSimone was also alleged to have taken part in the December 1978 Lufthansa heist from JFK International Airport. As portrayed in Goodfellas, a friend of Tommy's, Parnell Stacks Edwards, failed to properly get rid of the truck used in the heist, and therefore it could be traced back to the crew, and the order came down that Stacks had to go. When DeSimone was told by a ranking mafioso that he could become a made man if he carried out this hit on his friend, Tommy quickly agreed. He found out where the unsuspecting Stacks was hiding and shot him 6 times in the chest and head. Now, Tommy thought to himself, I will finally become a made man. But he never made the cut because Tommy had made a fatal error. In the book Wise Guy, Henry Hill explained that they threw a welcome home party at Robert's Lounge, which was owned by Jimmy Burke, for one William "Billy Bats" Bentvena, a made man in the Gambino family and a close personal friend of Capo John Gotti. Hill states that Bentvena saw DeSimone and asked him if he still shined shoes. This was the wrong thing to say to Two Gun Tommy, who became extremely angry. Tommy seethed and swore revenge. It was also reported that Bentvena, who had just finished a 6-year prison stint prior to his conviction, had run a loan shark business which had been turned over to Jimmy Burke in his absence. And now that he was out, well, he wanted the Shylock racket returned to him. A couple of weeks after the shoeshine incident, Bentvena was lured to Burke's bar, liquored up, and then beaten by Burke and DeSimone. They used Hill's 1970 Buick Electra to transport the body. While the three men were driving on the Van Wyck Expressway, they discovered that Bentvena was not dead. So they stopped at DeSimone's mother's house to get a knife, lime, and a shovel. They then resumed their gruesome road trip. Hill explained that the cargo was becoming conscious and began pounding on the trunk door and yelling, which was getting on Tommy's nerves. DeSimone finally slammed on the brakes. He and Burke jumped out of the car and opened the trunk, and according to Hill, they just stabbed him. Hill described the carnage as fucking horrible. This silenced Billy Bats down for the remainder of the ride. When they arrived at their destination, they took the barely conscious Bentvena out of the trunk and finished him off by beating him with a tire iron and a shovel around his head. When Hill became an FBI informant in 1980, he told authorities that DeSimone had been murdered by the Gambino crime family with the full knowledge and approval of Paul Berrio. Despite the oft-given date of death of January 14, 1979, the exact date of DeSimone's demise is uncertain. Hill claimed that in the weeks after Christmas, he and Jimmy Burke had gone down to Florida to straighten out a drug deal gone bad. Tommy had remained behind in New York because he was going to be a made man. When Jimmy called to see if the ceremony had occurred, Burke was told by a voice on the other end of the line that it had been called off due to heavy snowfall. The next day, Burke found out that DeSimone had been murdered. He slammed the phone down and began to cry uncontrollably. Though others have different scenarios and reasons as to how DeSimone met his maker, Henry Hill, in his book Gangsters and Goodfellas, explained that Gotti himself was the assassin and that it was revenge for the killing of Billy Bats Bentvena. Others have stated that it was due to the fact that Tommy broke the rules by killing a made guy without the family's permission. On May 17, 2007, on the Howard Stern Show, Hill reaffirmed that Gotti had killed DeSimone. He also added that the death at the hands of Gotti took a long time because Gotti considered him a punk and wanted DeSimone to suffer before he died. On January 14, 1979, Angela DeSimone reported that her 29-year-old husband was missing. Two Gun Tommy DeSimone was declared legally dead in 1990, the same year the movie Goodfellas was released. Just how many fell at the hands of Tommy DeSimone? Well, no one knows for sure. By Hill's account, it was at least 11.